There was a time when I truly felt lost, suffocated by the relentless noise of life. Every single day was a desperate race against the clock, drowning in notifications, deadlines, and an endless stream of things I had to do. I was reacting to everything, and leading nothing, until one day, something absolutely radical shifted in my world. Something quiet, almost forbidden, that completely transformed my existence. It began with a simple, almost shocking idea. What if I woke up when the entire world was still asleep? Not because an alarm screamed at me, or a deadline loomed, but because I chose to. At 4 a.m., everything outside holds its breath. The city is a ghost of itself. There's a profound, almost sacred silence that wraps around you. For so long, my life felt like a relentless game of catch-up. I was always responding, to my alarm, to messages, to the chaos that erupted the moment I opened my eyes. But then it hit me. What if I could open my eyes before the world could even reach me? What if I could snatch back a piece of my day, just for myself, before anyone could lay claim to it? It wasn't easy, believe me. Oh, my bed felt like a warm, inescapable trap, whispering insidious promises of just 5 more minutes. My mind screamed protests, every fiber of my being craving that extra hour of oblivion. But deep down, something inside me was absolutely tired of settling. I knew my true purpose, my desire for a different life. They were waiting on the other side of that struggle. It's funny, we often think success is about talent, right? We look at successful people and assume they were born with some innate gift. But I've learned that's not it at all. Success, real, lasting success, is about repetition, about relentless consistency. It's about just showing up again and again, especially when you don't feel like it. And by conquering that first brutal battle of the day, by simply getting up, I started to conquer my habits, my excuses, and eventually my entire life. That silence isn't empty, I quickly discovered. It's vibrant. It's full of possibility. It's your chance to choose how you begin your day, instead of letting the world dictate it for you. In that stillness, there's no rush, no pressure, no noise. You finally have the space to hear your own thoughts, the ones that usually get drowned out in the day's endless chatter. You get to just be with yourself, without distraction, without interruption. This isn't about just being productive for the sake of hustle culture, endlessly chasing more. This is about presence. It's about reclaiming a part of my life that noise, comparison, and relentless urgency had stolen from me. We treat time like it's endless, don't we? Scrolling, watching, consuming, letting endless distractions steal our most precious asset, while the dreams we once held so fiercely gently fade into the background. But in those quiet 4 a.m. hours, something shifted. I remembered that spark inside me that wasn't okay with settling, that yearned for something more. And in that sacred hour, I could just start. Pick up a book. Stretch my body. Meditate. Journal. Or simply breathe. I could begin again, before anyone else even began their day. I was giving myself a profound head start, a secret advantage over the chaos. Reclaiming your time isn't about just filling it with more tasks, more busyness. No. It's about giving it meaning. When you wake up early, you're giving yourself the first, freshest, purest slice of the day. Not the drained leftovers, not the tired hours at the end. You start to honor yourself in a way you never thought possible. You say to the universe, I matter. My peace matters. My vision matters. You're not just surviving your day, you're owning it. And that ownership, that deep sense of personal power, starts with intention. With one single, deliberate choice. This simple habit, this single decision to rise, created a seismic ripple effect. Starting my day with silence brought a profound calm into the inevitable noise of my day. Beginning with clarity helped me face chaos with a grace I never knew I possessed. I stopped feeling behind. I stopped rushing. I wasn't chasing time anymore. I was walking with it, in step, in rhythm. It felt powerful. Not because I was doing more, but because I was doing what mattered first. Most people wait for peace. They wait for a vacation, for a Sunday, for a perfect, magical moment. But peace isn't something you wait for. It's something you create. And those early hours, they became my canvas. I painted them slowly. I breathed into them deeply. I started creating a morning that reflected the life I truly wanted. Because how you start your day shapes everything: your mood, your choices, your energy, your mindset. By the way, if you're still with me, if any part of my journey resonates with that quiet longing inside you, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. It truly helps this community grow, and I promise there are more raw, honest experiences and powerful insights coming your way. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep sharing these stories of transformation. No one sees your 4 a.m. No one claps for you when you sit in the dark and choose discipline over comfort. But that's precisely the point. You're not doing it to impress anyone. You're doing it to return to yourself. And once you taste the profound stillness of a morning that belongs only to you, truly, madly, deeply only to you, you realize you'll never again trade it for an extra hour of shallow sleep. Morning discipline isn't some loud, boastful act. It's a quiet decision you make every single day. And when you choose to wake up in those early hours, when your bed feels warm and the world outside is dark and silent, that choice slowly, painstakingly, chisels your inner world. I began to value my word to myself. I said I would wake up, and I did. I began to trust myself. I set a goal, and I followed through. That simple act of showing up for myself when no one was watching, no one was expecting, no one was applauding, that was the true root of my discipline. And let me tell you, it has nothing to do with perfection. I mess up. I snooze the alarm sometimes. I sleep in. But when I come back, when I try again, when I rebuild the habit, that's when character is truly built. Character isn't forged in moments of comfort. It's built in those gut-wrenching moments when your feelings scream one thing and your deepest values whisper another. It's built when you choose effort over ease, commitment over convenience. Morning discipline taught my mind to lead my body. It taught me that feelings are not facts. Just because I felt tired didn't mean I couldn't move. Just because I felt lazy didn't mean I couldn't act. And this power, this strength to rise above my moods, became my undeniable edge. In a world utterly addicted to comfort, discipline felt like rebellion. It built resilience. It built integrity. I became someone who didn't fold when life got heavy. I started treating my time like it truly mattered, like it was a sacred, non-renewable resource. I stopped wasting it on things that drained my spirit. I began protecting my energy like it was the most precious jewel I possessed. This morning habit also created order, a beautiful, quiet order, in my often chaotic life. My thoughts became clearer. My actions, more intentional. I stopped starting my day by merely reacting to the world. I began it with purpose, with a burning sense of direction. Whether it was exercising, writing, planning, meditating, or just sitting in silence, what I did in those early hours shaped who I became when the world was watching. Because public victories, my friends, are always built on private discipline. Over time, this discipline seeped into every single part of my life, like a slow, steady dye. I started keeping promises to others because I now kept promises to myself. I became reliable, not just to the world, but to my own heart. I stopped chasing fleeting motivation and started relying on unwavering structure. I no longer needed someone to push me. I was driven by something deeper, something anchored in who I was desperately trying to become. The beauty of morning discipline is that it requires no talent, no fancy tools, no one else's approval, just me, my alarm, and a choice. The same choice every single day. And each time I made it, I sharpened my spirit. I toughened my will. I stepped closer to becoming the kind of person who doesn't just talk about change, but lives it. Because real change doesn't come from big, loud, dramatic decisions. It comes from those small, quiet wins, like waking up when you said you would, even when no one else knows but you. Consistent mornings create consistent growth. It's not about one powerful day or one perfect morning. Real growth doesn't explode overnight like a firework. It builds brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. When I started my day with intention, again and again, it was like planting seeds. Not every seed shows fruit right away, but with enough time, something strong, something resilient, began to take root inside me. There's something incredibly powerful about this repetition, this quiet, daily ritual. Waking up early isn't a one-time effort. It's a rhythm, a silent beat that keeps you grounded when the world tries to throw you off balance. When life felt chaotic, when the world threw its challenges and disappointments, my morning routine became my unshakable anchor. It was my space of stability in a world that often felt unstable. And from that stability, real growth happened, not just in what I did, but in how I thought, how I responded, how I carried myself. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's not exciting, but it is profoundly, undeniably effective. I didn't feel the change every single day, but over time, it became undeniable. Those early hours taught me patience. They taught me the art of showing up, not for instant results, but for the sacred process itself. And when you fall in love with the process, you stop rushing the outcome. You begin to appreciate the small wins, reading a single page, a short workout that slowly builds strength, a peaceful walk that clears your head. These moments may seem small, insignificant even, but they are never wasted. They are investments. And every morning I chose to show up, I added immeasurable value to myself. I started to see how much power I actually had. I stopped waiting for motivation, for perfect conditions, for someone else to push me. I understood that discipline is a muscle, and every time I woke up and followed through, I strengthened it. Eventually, it became natural. It became part of who I am. Not someone who talks about change, but someone who is living it, quietly and consistently. Growth needs a place to land, and my morning routine became that sacred place. It's where new habits could take shape. It's where old excuses began to die a slow, quiet death. It's where I separated myself from the crowd, because most people wake up and immediately dive into distraction. But I created space. Space to learn, to think, to move, to breathe. That space gave birth to clarity, and clarity led to direction, and direction, my friends, led to unstoppable progress. When your mornings are consistent, your deepest values stay right in front of you. Every day, you're reminded of who you truly want to become. It's so easy to forget your goals in the relentless rush of life, but when you give yourself even 1 hour of focused presence each morning, you keep your purpose alive. You keep your vision fresh. You realign yourself daily with your future self. People often say they want transformation, but they wait for a spark, for something dramatic to wake them up. The truth is, growth isn't a firework. It's a sunrise. Slow, gentle, quiet, but utterly unstoppable. And when you build a morning rhythm and stay loyal to it, you become unstoppable too. Not because everything is easy, but because you keep going, you keep showing up, because you've decided that your growth matters infinitely more than your comfort. The secret to a better life isn't found in doing more, in endlessly chasing. It's found in doing what matters again and again, until it indelibly shapes who you are. And that journey, that profound transformation, it begins every morning when the world is still quiet and you choose to rise. This shift, this quiet rebellion, brought incredible mental clarity and focus into my life. When the world is still asleep, and the incessant noise hasn't yet started its assault, there's a different kind of silence that wraps around you. It's not an empty silence, but one brimming with calm. That calm gives your mind a sacred space it rarely gets during the rest of the day. No buzzing notifications, no background conversations, no traffic, no clutter. Just you and your thoughts. In that space, your mind starts to breathe. It slows down. It sharpens. It becomes profoundly more aware. And in that heightened state, I started seeing things differently, more clearly, more calmly, more wisely. Clarity isn't just about knowing what you want, it's about knowing what you don't want. Waking up early gave me precious time to think without pressure. I wasn't rushing through breakfast or frantically replying to emails. I wasn't surrounded by demands. And because of that, my thinking was cleaner, sharper. I could reflect on what really mattered, not just what was urgent. I could ask myself questions I usually avoided. Am I truly happy with where I'm going? What am I tolerating that I absolutely shouldn't be? What can I finally let go of? These questions come so much easier when the brain isn't overloaded, when it has room to breathe. And those early morning hours provide precisely that kind of mental spaciousness. Focus is something we all desperately crave but rarely, truly find. The reason isn't a lack of ability, but a lack of environment. Focus can't grow in chaos. It needs protection. It needs a steadfast boundary between you and distraction. And the early morning, it creates that boundary without even trying. It offers you a golden window of time when no one expects anything from you. That freedom is rare, my friends, and that is why it is so profoundly powerful. It allows you to dive deep into whatever matters to you, reading, writing, planning, learning, or simply thinking. And the quality of that focus is different. It's not just about getting things done. It's about doing them with presence. There's also something to be said about the sheer freshness of your brain in the early morning. You've just rested. Your mind is not yet tired. Your decisions are not yet pulled in 100 different directions. That mental energy is at its absolute peak, and what you choose to do with it sets the tone for your entire day. If you begin with clarity, you carry clarity into the rest of your tasks. If you begin with focus, your mind stays more organized even when the world around you becomes overwhelmingly busy. It is like setting your compass before you start walking. You know exactly where you are headed, and you are far less likely to get lost in the sea of distractions. Mental clarity also brings a beautiful emotional balance. When you begin the day in silence, you get to check in with yourself before the world checks in with you. How am I truly feeling? What do I deeply need today? What do I honestly want to accomplish? These small self-checks make a monumental difference. You stop being reactive. You start being intentional. And that intention helps you deal with stress in a more grounded, powerful way. You are less likely to overreact, less likely to get overwhelmed, because your mind has had time to reset, to anchor, to find its unwavering center. There is no secret tool or expensive program that can replace the raw power of a clear and focused mind. And the earliest hours of the day are the most natural, most affordable, and most effective way to get there. It does not require perfection. It only requires the sheer willingness to get up, to sit with yourself, and to be fully present before the world begins to move. That presence is what makes the difference between just surviving the day and actually living it with clarity, purpose, and profound peace. This newfound routine also leads to better health and an optimized sleep cycle. When you start waking up early, it doesn't just shift your schedule. It begins to align your entire biological system. The human body has a rhythm, a natural internal clock, and when you start respecting that rhythm, everything starts to function more smoothly, more harmoniously. Waking up at 4 a.m. may feel difficult at first, a monumental challenge. But as your body adjusts, you will notice that you begin to feel more refreshed, more balanced, and incredibly more energetic throughout the entire day. It's not magic. It's biology working in your favor. Your body was designed to rise with the light and rest with the darkness. When you honor that ancient pattern, you give your body exactly what it has always needed: consistency. Your sleep improves not just in quantity, but in quality. You start sleeping earlier, not because you're forcing yourself, but because your body starts craving rest at the right, natural time. Your mind becomes calmer before bed. You're not scrolling late into the night or battling endless, racing thoughts. You have structure. You have purpose. And when you live your day intentionally, you fall asleep peacefully. That deep sleep, uninterrupted and natural, begins to repair your body in ways no supplement or energy drink ever could. It supports your immune system, sharpens your memory, stabilizes your mood, all because you decided to take fierce control of your mornings. Your mental health also begins to lift in a remarkable way. Early risers often experience less anxiety and depression, not because they are inherently stronger, but because they are more in sync with themselves. They give themselves sacred space to breathe, think, and process emotions before the relentless demands of the day begin. When you start your day in a quiet, present, and centered way, your nervous system gets a much-needed break. Instead of jumping straight into stress, you ease into the day. You feel calmer, more prepared, less rushed. And when the mind feels safe and grounded, the body gratefully follows. Waking up early also gives you the perfect opportunity to build healthy habits. You have time to drink water, stretch, exercise, or take a peaceful walk. These small actions, when done consistently, lead to massive long-term benefits. Your body becomes stronger. Your heart works better. Your digestion improves. Your skin starts glowing. These are not coincidences. They are the direct result of steady, intentional choices. And when you start seeing these tangible changes, you begin to respect your body even more. You start feeding it better food. You start saying no to late-night junk. You begin to build a lifestyle around wellness, not just survival. It also changes the way you relate to energy. Most people rely on coffee, sugar, or artificial stimulants to drag themselves through the day. But when you sleep well and wake up with purpose, your energy feels natural. It is clean. It lasts longer. You don't crash halfway through the afternoon. You are not dragging yourself out of bed with resentment. Instead, you rise with an inner sense of calm and power. And that energy stays with you, not because of caffeine, but because of rhythm. You start to see that health is not something you chase when things go wrong. It is something you build every single day in the choices that seem small but matter the most. Going to bed on time, choosing rest over endless scrolling, moving your body even when it's not convenient, saying yes to early mornings even when it's easier to hit snooze. These choices, my friends, they shape your body, your mind, your very soul. When your health improves, everything improves, your relationships, your work, your confidence, your creativity. Because health is the unshakable foundation. And when you start waking up early, you are not just becoming more productive. You are becoming more alive, more balanced, more deeply connected to yourself. You are aligning your life with the natural flow of time, and in doing so, you create immense space for healing, growth, and real, undeniable strength to take root. You become someone others genuinely look up to. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's certainly not something you announce with a megaphone. It happens quietly, almost imperceptibly, through small acts of consistency, through discipline that no one sees, through choices you make every single morning when no one is watching. People begin to notice, not just what you do, but who you are becoming. They notice the glow in your eyes, the calm in your words, the quiet strength in how you carry yourself. And without even trying, you start to inspire. Not because you are perfect, but because you are intentional. When you wake up early and live with such profound purpose, you create an invisible shift in your very presence. There is something magnetic about someone who is truly grounded. You speak less but say more. You rush less but achieve more. You complain less but carry more grace. And people around you feel that. They begin to wonder what truly changed, why you're not as tired, why you're not as overwhelmed. They start asking you how you manage everything with such remarkable steadiness. And the truth is, the change started long before they even noticed. It started with a decision, a quiet, deeply personal decision to rise when the world slept and to choose yourself. This influence you build is not forced. It is earned. Through countless early mornings that no one celebrated, through days when it would have been easier, oh so much easier, to stay in bed, but you got up anyway. through quiet moments when you reflected instead of reacted. Over time, people begin to sense that you are reliable, that your words match your actions, that you are not swayed by every mood or situation. That makes you trustworthy. And trust, my friends, is rarer than gold. It makes you someone people want to follow. Not because you are loud, but because you are steady. Leadership is not about titles. It is about presence. It is about energy. It is about character. When you live with consistency, when you show up for yourself, you naturally start to show up better for others. You listen more deeply, you encourage more sincerely, you help more selflessly, and people feel safe around you. They feel inspired, not intimidated. That is what makes you someone they look up to. Not perfection, but authenticity, not dominance, but quiet, unwavering strength. This kind of influence extends far beyond words. Your habits begin to speak louder than any advice you could ever give. People see you taking care of your health, making time for reflection, prioritizing peace. They notice how you treat your time like it matters. And without preaching or pushing, you begin to plant seeds. Seeds of possibility, seeds of change. You become a living, breathing example that transformation is possible, that discipline can be beautiful, that simplicity is powerfully effective. You also begin to uplift others naturally, effortlessly, because when you are rooted, you do not compete. You do not compare. You celebrate others because you are not threatened. You help others rise because you know precisely what it feels like to rise alone. That kind of support creates deep, abiding respect. People begin to see you not just as someone doing well, but someone making others better. That is the true mark of real leadership. Not how far you go alone, but how many people you bring with you. The more consistent you become, the more dependable you are. And in a world full of noise and chaos, dependability is pure gold. People start trusting your word. They value your opinion. They want your perspective. Not because you know everything, but because you have proven through action that you mean what you say and say what you mean. It is never about trying to impress. It is about becoming your best self. And when you commit to that quietly, daily, relentlessly, you become the kind of person who lights a path for others, not by shouting from the front, but by walking ahead with humility, strength, and unwavering clarity. You build an unshakable sense of control and inner peace. In a world that is constantly spinning faster, notifications buzzing, deadlines chasing you, comparisons screaming at you from every corner, it is so easy to feel like life is just happening to you. One moment blends into the next, and before you even realize it, the day is gone, and you're left wondering where your precious time went. But when you wake up early, before the noise even begins to whisper, something remarkable happens. You reclaim your time. You reclaim your choices. You begin the day from a profound place of calm instead of utter chaos. That calm is not just a fleeting feeling. It is power. It is the quiet, undeniable power of knowing that you are in charge of your life. That first hour of your day is sacred. It belongs only to you, no one else. When you use that time with intention, even if it's just sitting in silence or writing down your deepest thoughts, you are telling yourself, I matter. My peace matters. My direction matters. You start to build a strong inner core, a part of you that stays steady no matter how wild, how turbulent the rest of the day gets. That steadiness is control. Not control over everything that happens around you, but fierce control over how you show up. Control over your reactions, control over your choices. It is not about perfection. It is about being present enough to respond instead of just react. As this routine continues, that precious inner peace starts to travel with you. It walks with you into meetings. It stays with you in traffic. It softens your voice during conflict. It strengthens your patience when things do not go as planned. You start to notice the sacred space between a problem and your response. You stop jumping into stress. You start pausing, breathing, and deciding. That space is peace. That pause is strength. And both are born in those early morning hours when the world is still, and you are able to simply be. This sense of control also profoundly transforms your relationship with time. You no longer feel like there is never enough of it. You stop saying, "I don't have time," because now you do. You created it. You protected it. You shaped it. Time feels different when you are the one who decides where it goes. You become less reactive to other people's urgency. You stop letting everyone else's plans pull you in 100 different directions. You become anchored, grounded, certain. And certainty is one of the rarest forms of peace. This inner peace also brings dazzling clarity. When your mind is not racing first thing in the morning, you start to hear the quiet truths inside you. What do I actually want? What have I been ignoring? What do I need to heal from? These questions don't need loud answers. They just need space. And in the early hours, space is all around you, boundless and waiting. Slowly, you start to reconnect with yourself. Not the version of you that performs for the world, but the version that is honest, simple, and whole. That reconnection brings a kind of peace that no vacation or escape can ever match, because it is not outside you. It is inside, and you finally made time to sit with it. There is no need to wait for life to slow down in order to find peace. Life may never slow down, but you can. You can choose to rise before the rush. You can choose to create stillness, not wait for it. And in doing so, you build something stronger than fleeting motivation. You build discipline. You build emotional maturity. You build a home inside yourself where you can return whenever the world gets too loud. That is what early mornings truly give you. Not just extra hours, but a profound way to lead your life from the inside out. Peace is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you carry. And that, my friends, makes all the difference. You stop reacting and start leading your day. This shift may seem small at first, insignificant even, but it changes the entire structure of how your life feels. When you wake up late or just barely on time, your entire day becomes a relentless game of catch-up. You are always behind, always responding, always dealing with what is already happening. It is like being in the passenger seat of your own life. You are moving, but you are absolutely not the one steering. But when you choose to wake up early, before the demands even begin to stir, you firmly put your hands on the wheel. You decide where the day is going. You become proactive, not reactive. Most people don't realize how much of their life is lived in reaction mode. They are reacting to messages, to emails, to moods, to traffic, to other people's endless expectations. And because they are constantly reacting, they never really feel in control. They never feel settled. Their emotions are at the mercy of whatever the day throws at them. But when you take that quiet, sacred time in the morning, when you set your own intentions before anyone else speaks into your day, everything changes. You begin with clarity, and that clarity becomes your impenetrable armor. You are no longer easily pulled by distractions or pushed by urgency. You respond with calm. You move with purpose. You start to lead. Leading your day doesn't mean you have everything figured out. It simply means you are making conscious, deliberate choices. You are deciding how to use your energy, your time, your focus. You are no longer waiting to see how the day unfolds. You are shaping it. You are planning, preparing, and fiercely protecting your peace. That is leadership in its purest form. Not over others, but over yourself. And when you have that kind of self-leadership, you become more stable, more unshakable. You stop depending on the mood of the day to decide your attitude. You build your day from within. This shift also brings a profound freedom. It is ironic, but structure creates freedom. When you know what your priorities are, you spend less time on things that drain you. You are not just busy, you are effective. You know what deserves your attention and what absolutely does not. That inner filter, that ability to choose where your attention goes, is one of the most powerful forms of leadership you can develop. And it is built in those early hours. When your mind is clear and your intentions are fresh, you begin to make better decisions. You are not rushing. You are not operating from stress. You are thinking ahead. You are solving problems before they even appear. And even when the unexpected happens, because it always does, you handle it better. You are not already on edge. You have the precious space within you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting emotionally. That pause, that gap between stimulus and response, is what separates someone who leads from someone who follows. Starting your day with leadership also boosts your confidence like nothing else. When you complete even one small task in the morning, reading, journaling, stretching, meditating, you already have a win. That win creates momentum. It tells your brain, I can do this. I follow through. And that feeling carries into your meetings, your work, your relationships. People feel the difference. You walk in prepared, not panicked, calm, not chaotic. You bring a presence that says you are in control of yourself. And that energy is rare. It draws people in because most people are looking for someone who has their feet on the ground. This kind of self-leadership is not about being perfect. It is about being intentional. It is about saying, I do not want to drift anymore. I do not want to merely survive each day. I want to shape it. I want to be awake, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And that kind of profound awakening begins in the morning, in the quiet, when you choose to lead instead of react. So, tell me, do you crave that quiet morning space? What's one small step you could take to reclaim your own dawn? Let me know in the comments below. I truly want to hear your thoughts and experiences.